Welcome back to Grief and Life as We Know It. Today we're talking about something that might seem almost too simple, but it's actually life-changing, namely gratitude.
Yeah, and I know when you're grieving or struggling or just going through a tough time, the word gratitude can feel, almost annoying. Like, what am I supposed to be thankful for when everything hurts?
But that's why we should talk about it, because gratitude isn't about ignoring pain or pretending everything is fine. It's about finding those small moments, those glimpses of light, even when life feels heavy.
Yeah. And I also read up on this, and science actually backs this up. Studies show that practicing gratitude, even in hard times, can rewire the brain, help us process emotions, and even ease anxiety and depression.
Which is kind of amazing, right? That's something as simple as noticing what's good, even in the middle of grief, can help us heal.
It definitely is. So today we are going to dig into that. What gratitude can look like in real life, and not just in the easy moments, but in the messy, complicated ones too, from our perspective.
And also how it can live side by side with grief. Because maybe, just maybe, gratitude isn't about moving on. Maybe it's about carrying love forward.
I love that. Let's dive in. First of all, I want to say that I'm incredibly thankful for having the capacity to actually feel gratitude, if that makes sense. I mean, some people might not be able to feel this at all. I don't know. I'm just so thankful that I can for my own sake. It's such a fulfilling feeling, I think, not just for me, but I'd like to think for the people around me as well. Anyways, I just had to share that.
Good. I'm happy to hear that. And I do think that I am as well. Or I know that I am. Your journey has definitely taught me that. Like you said in the beginning, it must have felt so hard to see good things and feel gratitude right after losing your husband and going through a cancer treatment that kind of lasted for years.
Yeah, it was definitely hard. In the beginning, I was just so angry at life and how unfair it all felt. Why him? Why us? All those questions.
Totally understandable. What is there to feel grateful for in that? But tell us how you managed to feel gratitude again.
Thinking back, one thing that actually did help me get through it all, it was actually that gratitude, to be able to see the beauty again, kind of. I mean, it sounds almost ridiculous when you're in the middle of deep grief, but I really tried to focus on what I still had, not just what I'd lost. Of course, that wasn't right away because when you're in shock, you're just surviving. But after a few weeks, that's when it started to sink in. You can start to feel this again. I mean, I did in between the grief.
I can imagine that must have been really hard. Like, how do you even find gratitude when you're in that kind of pain?
Trust me, it wasn't easy. There were days I thought, what the hell am I supposed to be grateful for? I was so sad and angry and bitter, just completely drowning in it. And like I said in another episode, I think the turning point was the one day when I was so depressed and my legs just wouldn't carry me, when I was down on the floor crawling. And my youngest son looked at me and said, "Come on, Mom, let's go for a walk in the forest. I don't want to see you like this."
Yeah.
And I think that was the moment something shifted in me. I saw that I had to do something because I still had my sons and also my family and friends, the people who just showed up for me. I still had love, I still had moments, and I still had life. And as I've said before, I made myself a promise, and I promised my husband this too. I was going to live, like really live, not just exist in grief. Because if I only focused on what I had lost, I would have lost myself too. And sometimes you have to make those kind of promises to yourself because I think they matter.
Yeah, they do. And honestly, I think gratitude is one of the most underrated survival tools, not just in grief, but in life. It shifts everything.
It really can. And I had to be really intentional about it, of course. I would repeat to myself that I refused to feel sorry for myself. I even had to say it out loud. And of course, I also had moments where I did feel sorry for myself because, let's be real, I'm human. But I knew that if I stayed in that mindset for too long, it would consume me.
That is such a strong decision to make. I don't think people realize how much of a choice that is. I mean, you are able to, everyone is, but you have to choose to. Gratitude doesn't just magically appear. It's something that you have to actively practice.
And it's not about pretending everything's fine, of course. It's about acknowledging the pain while also recognizing the good. Like, I made this routine that I would step outside and breathe in the fresh air and hear the birds singing. It sounds so simple, but that was enough some days. And my son made me actually see this back then. I could see the fear in his eyes, and I just couldn't drown in my own sorrow. And of course, you also need your family and friends to support you and drag you out of your misery when it's needed. And I am forever grateful for having you all around me. I don't know what I would do without you all.
Yeah, of course. And I'm so grateful for that too, actually. Having someone there really makes a difference. But what happened next for you? I mean, how did you move forward from just surviving?
Well, as I said before in the beginning, it was all about getting through the days, just coping. But slowly I started noticing the little things again. After this wake up call I had, I began feeling thankful for the simplest moments. It was like my eyes opened to the world again. I could actually hear the birds again, feel the fresh air, and take in the beauty of nature. And it felt healing in this deep, almost physical way. And honestly, I would say it was like being born again, if I can say that.
Yeah, you absolutely can. And I hope with all my heart that our listeners who are grieving get to feel that too, even just a glimpse of it, because those moments, they matter. They really do. And as you say, there's an amazing calmness in nature, isn't there? Just taking it all in. Such peaceful and beautiful noises. No wonder I use that sleep sounds. Anyways, I almost dozed off thinking about it. Did you get it?
Yeah.
But yes, definitely something to be grateful for.
Yeah, definitely. And what truly kept me going was the promise I made to my husband, of course. I told him I would keep living, not just existing, but really living. And I did. I do. And I knew I had to show our boys that life still goes on. Not in the same way, not with their dad by our side, but still with him present in everything we do. In the small moments, he is there with us. We always talk about him when we are together.
Yeah, of course. That is nice. And he's still a big part of your and all of our lives, really. And that is also something to be so grateful for, just having had that kind of love that you did. Not everyone goes through life having that.
Yeah, I'm forever grateful for that.
And also the fact that you did find love again.
Totally. I mean, it was something I never thought would happen. That felt unthinkable. But then somehow I got lucky. I met someone I could love like that again. And I don't take that for granted for a second. So I would say I have so much to be thankful for. But I have to be honest, in the beginning, when people would say things like you did now, just hold on to the good memories, or at least you had such a great love, it felt like a punch in the face back then. Like, no, that didn't help. Not for me at least. It just made the loss feel even bigger. Like all I had left were memories, and that hurt more than anything. Maybe for some this might be healing, but for me, it wasn't. So to all of you supporters out there, be careful using at least. Again, I know we talked about this before, but it's a reminder because I don't think that is very helpful. And this is my point of view anyways. Now that is a different story, of course. I see it now. I see that it was well-meaning words.
Yeah, I can imagine when you're in the middle of that kind of loss, being told to focus on the good memories. Must have felt so dismissive. Like, of course, those memories are precious, but in that moment, it's not about looking back with gratitude. It's about surviving the right now.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
I guess timing is everything with that kind of advice.
indeed. Just a small reflection here. I believe that when you're able to be truly present in the now, not stuck in the past or worrying about the future, that is when you can find inner peace. At least that's what the experts say, and lots of quotes. But I think I agree.
Yeah, but it takes awareness, though. You have to be conscious of your thoughts and gently bring your attention back to the moment. And sure, that can feel like pressure in itself sometimes. We might get stressed when we feel like we're not getting it right.
Of course, it takes awareness, as you say, and also practice. But even small moments of presence can be enough. I mean, they can help you move forward and be or become more grateful, I guess. Like birdsong, for instance, one of my closest friends told me once, we were discussing this, the urge for inner peace. I think we all strive for this. And she said that most people love the sound of birds singing. It makes us feel calm and safe, and I can totally relate to that. And maybe that's not a coincidence. Maybe deep down it's because birds only sing when predators are gone. It's nature's way of saying, right now, everything is okay. And I think that is so beautiful. It's like a witness of peace, kind of. So I just wanted to share that. And I love these reflections.
Yeah, me too. I never thought of that or never heard it said this way before.
No.
But just to be able to live like that, feel it that way, that is something to be grateful for, isn't it? I mean, just to see that those little signs from the world in that moment, like you're safe, you're alive, you're here.
Over to something completely different that may seem so small is that still to this day, every night when I go to bed, I really look forward to my morning coffee. It sounds silly, but I really love that time. The small things.
Totally. That is one of my favorite times of day too. Just sitting in peace and quiet with my coffee and doing my daily wordle. If you know, you know.
I know.
But anyways, it's true though. Gratitude doesn't have to be for the big things. It can be for the smallest, most ordinary moments. Like we said, a good cup of coffee, a hug from someone you love, or just a peaceful moment alone. And of course, the birds singing.
Mm-hmm.
But also the support from everyone around makes it easier.
Yeah, and I think what you said there about the small things and ordinary moments, that's something some people might misunderstand, maybe. They may think gratitude is about ignoring the bad stuff and forcing yourself to be happy, but it's actually about allowing yourself to see both the pain and the beauty side by side. And maybe gratitude requires contrast. I don't know.
That's really well said. And I think the same goes for life in general. It's so easy to focus on what we don't have and what's missing instead of appreciating what's already here.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. How often do we go through life always chasing the next thing, the next goal, the next milestone, the next I'll be happy when I win the lottery or something moment? But when we stop and actually look at what we have right now, that's when we find real peace, I think.
But isn't that the whole point, though? To actually live while we're here, not just survive, but really be present in the life that we have?
Yeah, of course it is. And I think, especially in grief, I know this might sound strange, but grief actually deepened my sense of gratitude. It kind of stripped everything down to the essentials, what really matters, love, connection, the people around us, the small everyday moments that make up a life.
That's beautiful. And such an important reminder for all of us. Whether we're grieving or not, gratitude is what makes life meaningful, I guess. Like, for real.
Yeah. If there's one thing I hope people take away from this, is that gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's a practice, something we can nurture no matter where we are in life. Even on the hardest days, there is always something to hold on to. And I truly hope each of you listening can find that too.
Maybe sometimes the smallest things is enough to remind us that life, even in its hardest moments, holds so much to be thankful for. But this also makes me wonder, as you mentioned, do we need the bad to fully experience the good?
I think we do. Not in a pain is necessary kind of way. I just don't think we would notice joy the same way without the contrast. Imagine if life was only good, no stress, no sadness, no loss, just perfect all the time.
Sounds nice. Where do I sign up?
Yeah, right. But would it be nice? Like, really? If you never knew struggle, how would you recognize peace? Would a warm, sunny day feel as incredible if you'd never experienced months of cold, gray weather? I don't know.
Hmm. You mean like Floridians take the sun for granted while Norwegians practically cry with joy over the first hint of spring?
Yeah, but it's like your heart expands in those moments. Like, oh, I forgot what this felt like. And suddenly the smallest things feel huge. I mean, you can spot a Norwegian sitting face up against the sun anywhere. We worship the sun differently because we don't have it all the time.
Yeah, definitely. My husband were always making fun of me and all Norwegians really, because he played soccer there, and he said every spring, as soon as the sun was out, all Norwegians would like poke their heads facing upwards.
Yeah.
It's like we're little sunflowers, just turning towards the light every chance that we get. But
Mm.
it's true though, those small moments hit different when you've been through darkness. It's like you notice life in a whole different way.
That's it. I mean, just hearing someone say, I got you when you're feeling completely lost, those little things suddenly mean everything because suddenly you're aware of it. I think that's the twist here. It's not that suffering creates joy, it just makes us more awake to it and therefore also gratitude.
It's interesting. So maybe it's not about needing bad things to happen, but rather needing to be fully present to notice the good, to feel gratitude.
Yeah, I think when you go through something painful like loss, heartbreak, trauma, whatever, it forces you to slow down and to notice. At least that's my opinion and takeaway from all this. When you're grieving, even the smallest good thing can feel like a lifeline.
So suffering gives us depth.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe it just strips away the distractions, forces us to appreciate what actually matters.
I like that. Because when you put it in that way, it means that we don't have to seek out suffering to experience joy. We just have to pay attention.
Let's be honest, life is going to give us enough suffering on its own. No need to go looking for it.
Agreed. But I also wonder, and this might be a tough one, because we talked about our stepdad passing so suddenly, and I've been thinking about that because my mom, or our mom, never got to say goodbye. There was no time for that. He died believing that he would get better, that he would go home. And in a way, I guess there's comfort in that he didn't have to face the fear of dying. But do you think that that's better or worse? I know it's a hard question to ask and probably even harder to answer.
Mm. First of all, I think this is a really good question, actually, but I don't think there's a right answer to this. When someone is sick and know their time is limited, you do get that chance to say goodbye. And in some ways, that's a gift because I know that happened to me because me and my husband had nothing left unsaid because of it. He made sure I knew how much he loved me and he tried to prepare me for life without him. But at the same time, there is this unbearable sadness knowing what's coming, knowing you won't be there for everything that's ahead. Those goodbyes are really heartbreaking. So maybe, I don't know, maybe not knowing is easier, at least for the one dying. But for us left behind, I don't know what's best. Maybe some of you listeners have some perspectives regarding this. I guess there is no right or wrong answer to this. I know what I would prefer, though. I would leave the world with my shoes on if I could choose.
Maybe, but that puts things in perspective for sure. And I guess that's why they say don't have anything unsaid and never go to bed angry.
Definitely. And also, if you love someone, tell them.
Yes, tell them. That was one thing my stepfather was good at. I don't think they ever really fought, and he was so calm and loving, that guy. Nothing unsaid there. And I know that's how my mom feels too. They both knew how strong their love was.
And that is beautiful. And it's also an important reminder to everyone, I think. Speaking of gratitude, there's one thing I've thought a lot about, and that's how incredibly lucky we are to live in a country like Norway when it comes to healthcare and financial support. I honestly don't know how I would have managed if I lived somewhere else. Of course, you settle for what you have, but like in the US, for example, no offense, but it's a different story.
Oh, yeah. And I thought about that too. Living in the US and seeing how things work over here, I can tell you it's a completely different system. I mean, when your husband got sick and after he passed, you could take time off without worrying about losing your income, right?
Yeah, the system here really allows people to grieve and recover without that extra layer of financial stress. And when my husband was sick and after he passed, I could take time off work and I wasn't forced to rush back just to pay my bills and stuff. I had space to process everything. And I think that is such a blessing.
That is such a huge difference. Because over here, most people get very limited bereavement leave, sometimes just a few days. And if you don't have savings or good insurance, you might have to go straight back to work while you're still in deep grief. It's almost impossible to really take the time that you need.
I think that is just heartbreaking. I can't imagine dealing with that kind of pressure on top of everything else. But it's not just bereavement leave. Look at healthcare too. When my husband and now my boyfriend got sick, all the treatments were covered. Hospital stays, medications, doctor's appointments. It didn't financially ruin us. And that's just how it works here.
I know. Over here, people go bankrupt from medical bills. Even if you have insurance, there are still co-pays and deductibles. And if you don't have a good job with good benefits, you could end up drowning in debt just from getting sick.
And that is just insane to me because here, if you get a serious illness like cancer, you don't have to fight with insurance companies about whether or not your treatment is covered. You just focus on getting better.
And let's not forget that if you're sick for a long time, you can actually take paid leave without losing your job. In the US, if you get really sick and can't work, you could just lose everything. Your job, your health insurance, your home. It's brutal.
That is terrifying. I mean, I pay my taxes with pleasure because I know what they go towards. I felt it firsthand, the security of knowing I wouldn't be left on my own.
Right. That's such a big difference. Here, if you don't have good insurance, or even if you do, you can still end up drowning in medical death. I heard about people losing their homes because of hospital bills. It's terrifying.
That is just unthinkable to me. Imagine going through something like losing a spouse or battling a serious illness, and on top of that, wondering how you're going to pay for it all. It's just wrong, I think.
Totally. And we actually just had our very first experience with how the system really works over here because our youngest daughter was just diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in October. And I wonder how much it would have cost us if we didn't have insurance. I mean, at the hospital, while we were at our most vulnerable, they just handed us a package of things that we needed for her to survive, really. And of course, we paid it there and then, as they told us to. Expensive still, I'll tell you, even with insurance that we have through my husband's work, that we still pay a monthly amount for every month, by the way. But we got the package of stuff and went home after 4 days there, and we still got a bill in the mail for the stay.
Wow. Unthinkable.
Yeah, because in Norway, you don't pay to stay in the hospital. You just go and then you stay and then you go home.
Yeah.
And then another story that I have, just to point out how strange the system feels sometimes, is that in that package of things that we got was this one item that we noticed we paid $30 for. And one day at the grocery store in the pharmacy section, we noticed this exact same item, same brand and everything. No insurance, $12. How is that possible? How does that make any sense? In my head, it doesn't.
No, it really doesn't. No.
So yeah, we felt it firsthand, and now we check everything. It's so strange that we even have to do that. Anyways, that was my story. But all this, it affects how people experience grief too. Instead of just being able to process their emotions, they have to hustle, fundraise, or fight with insurance companies like we did. It adds a whole other layer of stress.
Yeah, it really does. And that is why I appreciate what we have in Norway so much. It doesn't take away the pain of losing someone, of course, but at least you don't have to worry about affording a hospital stay or paying for necessary treatments.
Yeah, it really puts things into perspective. I mean, I totally get why people here are frustrated with taxes, because that's a thing here. But when I compare the systems, I know which one I'd rather have.
Yeah, same. It's not about having a perfect system, maybe, because no country does, but knowing that if something happens, you won't be left completely stranded, and I think that's huge.
With that being said, though, one thing I really admire about Americans is how they come together when someone is in need. I mean, GoFundMe is basically part of the healthcare system here. And it's heartbreaking that it's necessary, but also really beautiful that people actually step up and help each other like that.
Yeah, that is something I've always found so touching. The way people just rally around each other, whether it's for medical bills or funeral costs or just helping a struggling family get back on their feet. It's this incredible sense of community.
It really is. So I just wish people didn't have to rely on it for survival. But at the same time, it's proof that even in a broken system, kindness still thrives.
Absolutely. And I think that's something to hold on to, no matter where you live, because people's willingness to help each other is one of the most beautiful things in the world.
You said a few times how grateful you are for your health. What does that really mean to you?
Honestly, it means everything. After watching someone you love slowly lose their health, you just start realizing how much we take for granted. Just being able to, walk, to run, to breathe normally, and sleep through the night without pain, that's huge.
Yeah, I guess it's easy to forget that when everything is working like it should. You don't think about it until something breaks, right?
No, you don't. And it's not just about the body, it's the freedom health gives us to move, to be spontaneous, to make plans. I've seen firsthand how illness can strip all of that away.
That's such an important reminder, I think. I think I've been more aware of that lately too, how grateful I am to have a body that works still, at least. Something to be thankful for. And after everything we talked about today, I think there's one thing that keeps coming back to me, and that is that gratitude is key.
It definitely is. It's like the one thing or one of the things we can actually have control over, no matter what life throws at us.
Exactly. We don't get to choose what happens to us. We don't get to avoid pain, loss, or hard times, but we do get to choose how we respond.
And choosing gratitude doesn't mean pretending everything is fine when it isn't. It just means acknowledging the good that is there, even on the worst days.
Yeah, it can be the smallest things.
Yes, just the fact that we've made it through another day or another podcast, that's something to be grateful for too.
It is. And gratitude isn't about waiting for everything to be perfect. It's about choosing to see the good, even when things aren't.
And the more you do it, the more it becomes a habit. It's like training a muscle.
Right. So maybe that's the real takeaway then. No matter what life throws at you, gratitude is a choice, and it's the one that can change everything.
Absolutely. Because even in the hardest moments, there is always something worth holding on to.
Yes, and the more we focus on that, the lighter life feels, even when it's heavy.
Yeah, and I know that feeling gratitude isn't always easy. Some days it might feel impossible, and I want to acknowledge that because when you're in deep grief or struggling, being thankful might feel like the last thing you can do. So if you're listening right now and it feels far away, that's okay. Just know that it's there waiting for you when you are ready, and no matter where you are in your journey, you're not alone. And thank you so much for being here with us today. We hope this is helpful.
Okay, so let me end with this because it came to mind and I think it fits right in. A wise woman told me once, think about it. When you are healthy, you have a million wishes. When you are sick, you only have one. Repeat this to yourself.
Beautifully said. Let's leave it at that.
Nina had a dream, all black and white. We were talking in English, yeah, that ain't right. Two Norwegian sisters miles apart, but that dream lit a fire, put a mic to the heart. Katrine's in the States, Nina's back home. Two voices, one mission through the microphone. Grief in life, the highs and the lows. We hit record, where the file go? Oh, we fumble, we stumble, but baby we shine. Lost the intro, never mind. Wi-Fi shaky, cables crossed, but our hearts stay strong, no moment lost. From a dream to the mic, now the world can hear. Two sisters telling truths with a laugh and a tear. We live, we learn, we sip, we sigh. Talking love, talking lost, let the echoes fly. Grief walks in, pulls up a chair, says I'll stay a while, yeah, life ain't fair. But we mix it with laughter, a toast in hand, finding light where the dark still stands. Ba-da-da-boo-doo. Is this thing on? Mic's on mute, oh well, move along. Ba-ba-dee, ba-ba-da, take two. Oops, too late, let's laugh it through. From a dream to the mic, now the world can hear. Two sisters telling truths with a laugh and a tear. We live, we learn, we sip, we sigh. Talking love, talking lost, let the echoes fly. So plug in, lean in, let's take our time. No script, no filters, just rhythm and rhyme. We're here, we're now, we're in our prime. Two sisters, one dream, on the mic we shine.